Do you all remember Minecraft Monster School? Not the cringe would never binge ones that came out later by some for some dumb Gen Z kids, but the OG one. The little series made during the Minecraft parody phase of YouTube when Minecraft animations were king. The one by Willcraft, or Die15 if you didn't keep up with him after the first few episodes. All the Minecraft animations on YouTube at the time, from 2D animations of Tobuscus to the immaculate short stories of Slamacow. They were all popping off at the time, and yet underneath it all, behind the big projects with budgets, were Willcraft and his Monster School animations. A more humble series of the mobs of early Minecraft, going to a small school to be taught how to mob and do various player activities. Yeah, among some other obscure activities for a mob, they get taught how to do player things like brewing and mining and such. So without any more pretext, let's talk about Monster School and Willcraft. He's important to this too. Willcraft's Monster School is a small YouTube series that came out during the reign of Minecraft content on the platform. And I mean the age like a decade ago, not today. The series started with the characters doing something only a player would do normally, having them craft from the get-go so you know that this school wasn't an ordinary Minecraft mob school. Although no other mob school series existed at the time, to my knowledge at least. Even if they did, I get the feeling they would have taken the route of putting the mobs through more generic stuff like how to hit a player or even regular school stuff. But because Willcraft had the idea shown on his channel first, we get to see original characters made out of the mobs go on wacky adventures doing different tasks in the world of Minecraft for Herobrine and a witch, sometimes. Anyway, to the first episode. The first episode sets the basis for what the average episode of this series will be like. The teacher gives the students a task, they do the task, and at the end, we all get to see their grades. So yes, it is just basically school, but more exciting because of the specific tasks they do. Not to mention the grades themselves. I don't know if it's because of my 12 years of grade school, but seeing the grades the mobs get was always one of my favorite parts of the videos. It may be because of the average person's desire to see their favorite thing succeed, or the desire to see if the creator agreed with the grade I would have given them if I graded their work. Whatever the case may be, after each class session, I know I couldn't wait to see what grades each mob got for their work. On to episode 2, and it's been unlisted. Well, lucky for me, the little wiki made for this guy has a link to it so I can watch another episode of pure nostalgia. Also, luckily, from what I can tell, this seems to be the only episode of the series that's been unlisted, deleted, or privated. Oh, wait, turns out you can just go to his page and go to a playlist for this series and you'll find it there. This time around, the mobs are tasked with cooking. Why? Because it's Christmas and I'm assuming Herobrine just doesn't have enough food. This episode was rushed out for the holiday, which is why he decided much later to enlist it. Which, while I can understand, the fact that he didn't enlist it for years does confuse me to an extent. Though considering what came later, I think I know why. All things considered, for a rush video, it still came out pretty good. The only things really missing is camera movement and good lighting, which is all excusable, especially since the character movement is all great. Okay, Skellington, I see you with the sword action. On to episode 3, we see something more along the lines of what you'd expect a mob to learn. Stealing. And not just opening a door to get to a chest. They have to go through a labyrinth of a house to find the diamonds in the room of the house owner. What's that room called again? Oh yeah, the master bedroom. Andy and Creep get to the chest with zombie swine following soon after by cheating and getting sliced and diced as a result. Not a result of cheating, but a result of sucking. Gist or gist, I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that, helps everyone to get in the house because she can't herself, including helping zombie swine cheat. Also, Indy has an obsession with diamonds. Last thing to note is the snazzy music that plays. I forgot to mention that there's music that plays in the background of each episode, usually generic music from that age of YouTube, like the one playing now. This episode has some jazz playing, and it's a nice listen, let me tell you. Next, we have not a lesson, but a meet and greet of the characters. Yeah, for some reason 4 episodes into the series, we finally got a formal introduction to these characters who seem to be showing specific characteristics that mobs wouldn't normally show. This happens 2 times, with the second one coming another 4 episodes later. But for now, we have our current 8. Andy, everyone's favorite, including me. Creep, Skeleton, Zombie Swine, Gist, or Gist, like I said, I don't know how to pronounce that. Zombie, real original. Spider, another real original. And Mucus, real gross. Andy is described as having an artistic soul and being very kind to everyone except Zombie Swine. They don't mention it here, but he also has a particular love for diamond blocks and really most kinds of blocks, and can't help but lose it whenever he makes eye contact. He turns into a wild animal and goes berserk, which everyone enjoys except him. Creep is like the average creeper character in Minecraft media, stealing others' work and letting them do it for him. Which does explain why he was able to steal from that death trap so easily. Skeleton is a chef, a great cook that would rather use a sword than a bow, which I must say is a pretty neat idea. Also, it doesn't say it here, but I noticed that he seems to like dismembering himself, which makes sense since he's a skeleton. Zombie with 2 E's doesn't have a brain, so almost all of his actions can be explained by that. He's often used for some slapstick humor, which occurs a lot in this series, and it makes sense to use him for that since he wouldn't think anything of it. I hate spiders, and I hate this one's name. In fact, I have arachnophobia. But one thing we have in common is bringing up our favorite thing whenever we can. His spider abilities, and for me, Kirby. Speaking of which, I gotta say, this remake of Return to Dreamland looking like it'll be hot. Mucus is apparently from France, which could have fooled me. Kind of a gross name for an otherwise pretty cute mob, but it's as they always say.
Oh, the French don't know any manners.
Zombie Swine's a hater. Probably why I got replaced with zombie piglins in the actual game. Gist, which is how I'm pronouncing it for the rest of the video, the gas, likes collecting heads, probably because she's just one big head. Nothing's really done with that until much later with the Wither, because, 3 heads. And that's all the current characters. The last text shown shows that this video was an afterthought, which considering he has a whole other series with an actual plot, it makes sense he probably wouldn't want to put as much effort into the characters of something that seems to mostly be for fun. And of course, the music choice is as pleasing as ever. The next 2 lessons are fun to watch, but to increase the velocity of the pace of this video, I'm skipping straight to the combat episode. Except I feel it's worth mentioning that the audio in the hiding episode is seemingly quiet until Andy goes berserk for the first time. Also at this point, Willcraft is called Willcraft instead of Die 15. On to the combat episode, it starts off with Herobrine creating a fake Steve for the mobs to fight. Zombie is swiftly put in the spotlight as he chooses his weapon, deciding on a pickaxe. He shows off his character trait of being brain dead pretty quickly. Then, using the fact that he's a zombie to get a sword stabbed through him, he uses that sword and a pickaxe to slice and dice Steve. Next, Creep goes up to be cut, but quickly counters with a feint attack. He ends the fight with an explosion as you would expect, being followed by Spider showing off his arachnid abilities, to his self-demise. Skeleton is up next, and as he chooses the sword in the chest, Herobrine forces a bow into his hand, wanting him to learn the weapon his kind is known for. After missing all the shots with Steve just standing there like the classic memes will tell you they do, Skeleton just decides to feed him food that was sitting in his pelvis, the food being poisoned, of course. Herobrine is disappointed by Skeleton, but will soon be impressed by Andy, who the whole time has shown his unwillingness to inflict or even see violence. He covers his eyes in the presence of the ring, but when Spider removes his hands from his eyes, he makes quick work of Steve, flinging him around as if Andy were a slasher character before eating his head with one chomp, promptly spitting it back out afterwards. Disgusting germs, come on. Continuing the theme of beheading, when a fireball is deflected, Gist creeps over to Steve to snatch his head off with her tentacles. Following that, Zombie Swine, like Skeleton, wants to break from the norm and throws his golden sword out for a golden hammer, squishing Steve to defeat him. Speaking of squish, the squishy slime Mucus, his name really shouldn't have been like Squish or something, I swear, man, it's just gross, is laughed at when it enters the ring, quickly turning the laughter into fear when it increases its size to suffocate Steve in its viscous mass. Much like tournament arcs in your average anime, this episode takes the chance to show what makes the characters individuals as opposed to just generic mobs, with most of them showing off the characteristics told to us in the meet and greet. Very shonen-esque in that regard. The episode isn't over yet though. After the grades are shown, we get another scene of Herobrine telling a witch to get the rest of the hostile mobs in the game in class. So now we get to see a little montage of letters being given to the rest of the mobs, ending off with the final head being placed on the soul sand for the Wither. So as one might expect, the next episode is another meet and greet. As the OG cast eats lunch, the new characters burst through the door, inclining the OGs to mingle. As the music starts playing, the first new character we're introduced to is Maggie, a magma cube that loves to eat. Sylvester is the second new character put in the spotlight, with his main trait being brought to the center of attention as we are told he's cowardly. When he gets scared, he'll use his ability to fade into blocks. Not much else to say on that, so on to the next character. It's Zupe. I hate it. And if you watched this as a kid, you know exactly why. So instead of talking about him, I'll talk about the other spider, Cavell. I hate it. And if you've been in a mine shaft, you know exactly why. So instead of talking about him, I'll talk about Blaze. This Blaze has a very short temper and apparently gets especially mad when people steal her work. So with that in mind, I assume she'll get into some hijinks with Creep. Up next is Witten, who, like Zombie, is also defined by his stupidity. But unlike Zombie, he's also defined by his wanton violence. And finally, Moltus, the Wither with 3 different heads, all with their distinct personalities. To make a long story short, one head is angry, one is kind, and the middle is a troll. So the next lesson is mining, and you wouldn't believe it, we do get Blaze and Creep shenanigans. Outside of that, we get Sylvester being late for some unknown reason, and the class being split into 2 groups. Second, technically first episode Zupe is in, and he's already being a hateable little Not too much happens in this episode, so I'm skipping to the Christmas special where Andy is Santa and Zupe is the Grinch. Although Andy spreads the Christmas joy, Zupe doesn't get what he deserves, so mid-episode. Next episode, we have a new intro. Andy is seen getting on a bus with the rest of the mobs on it and an original character for the bus driver. One crazy bus drive and a lunch period later, we're taking a class, and Zupe is already with everyone. Damn! This little bastard pisses me off, bro, I swear. But never mind that, cause this combat episode is a whole lot better than the last. Now the characters get to fight each other instead of a fake Steve. Boy, do they get down! Mucus beats Zombies, Sylvester beats Creep somehow, and Andy is triggered purposely by Herobrine at the start. This right here is a certified hood classic. It's like the tuning exam fights, but better because it's Minecraft and I don't understand how animation works because I'm 12. Skellington gets to use his sword this time and uses it to cut Cavell, and I gotta say, as someone who abhors cave spiders and spiders in general, this is really satisfying to watch. Next, Maggie totally cheats against Spider to take the dub, then Gist takes a one-hit kill on Blaze. After that, I guess Willcraft didn't want to answer the question of whether a slime or magma cube would win in a fight, so he made their fight a stalemate. Next, Sylvester crawls up Skeleton's spine, leading to a suicide in the ring. I can't blame him. Once I had a silverfish on my body while I was in bed, and I wanted to do the same thing as Skeleton in that moment. Moltus finally gets a fight now, going up against Mucus and Maggie, which I assume counts as fair since Moltus has 3 heads. Mucus and Maggie take some time to absorb each other before failing to do a single thing to the Wither and being split up by the multi-headed Moltus. Getting a second win, Moltus wins against Sylvester by scaring the little thing away with its very presence. His winning streak doesn't last forever though. As for one final showdown, he is faced with the crazed Enderman, Andy. Again, Moltus is generous enough to let his opponent come up with a strategy, or in Andy's case, come up with some rage before he uses up Moltus's generosity and he shoots 2 heads at Andy. Andy disappears before falling onto Moltus's head trying to bite it off. He gets a good nibble before Moltus flips to get him off and fires another head at him. Unfortunately for him, Andy has trained in the art of reflecting and throws the head back at him before leaping at him 2 times in a row, snagging the Wither's outer heads off and eating the last one. Herobrine's black ass just nods and watches the carnage before Andy cries when he sees that empty spinal cord on the ground. You see, the grades are based off the number of wins and... Nah, bro, the Wither got a D. That's crazy. Next is a scaring episode. A fun episode about freaking a sleeping Steve out that I'll skip because pacing and because you should watch it yourself. And finally, we have the finale. Unfortunately, the last episode before the monster school genre was filled with less than mediocre BS. The Bus Trip, the last episode to a cute, memorable, and incredibly nostalgic miniseries. And how does it end? Well, Let's find out. So right off the bat, it's easy to see an increase in production quality. The animation is more alive and the lighting is definitely different. We get on the bus and we see the destinations for this episode are the forest, the nether, and the end. That's right, baby, this bus ride is gonna be so big it's cross-dimensional. So the bus driver starts backing up and the mobs are all already understandably scared for their lives. Dude instantaneously breaks through to some bridging dimension and takes a cruddy stone road to the end of it. Not to mention he's reading a paper instead of actually driving. But he eventually shows us that there's no need to fear because he has the power of flipping a coin that will determine the outcome of his next action. If he says yes, he doesn't have to do anything. If he says no, he'll likely have a way to get out of that situation anyway. So one bus ride later, bro, I thought there was a forest in front of the school. That's what you've been showing us in the intro at least. And they went all the way to that specific forest so the witch could show them a mushroom. Oh yeah, the witch is teaching the students in the last episode instead of Herobrine, which I guess is okay since we haven't seen him since he got the new students here. Next, we take another ass bus ride and run over something to get to the nether, showcasing what happens when the coin says no on the way there. We get there and like the children I assume they are, all of them start misbehaving. Gitz takes a liking to Moltis after beheading Witten because 3 heads, and that's really the only thing worthy of note concerning their misbehaving because they're all just acting pretty dumb. But once the witch gets all the students back together, he keeps them frozen to show them nether warts, which leads me to believe this lesson has something to do with brewing. But the next destination says otherwise, since the end has nothing to do with brewing at all. Reading the description, it turns out it's just a lesson about the world outside the classroom. So nether wart and mushroom are just pure coincidence. As they are taken to a short pillar, the witch takes a crystal to show the class, which Andy takes a keen interest in. Juxtaposed to that, Zupei runs away to take control of a dragon, and when the witch can't catch him, it only serves to piss both him and I off. This little cuck is climbing a damn pillar with his bare hands, bro. Are you kidding me? Zupei uses the dragon to terrorize the students and attempts to do the same to the bus driver. But when his coin says yes, he encourages him to bring it on. The Wither interrupts Zupei, and while Moltis starts to fight the dragon, the bus driver is about to give Zupei his just desserts. Sadly though, he's stopped by the witch, who sends him and everyone else back to the bus. And he's dragged on in the middle of a conversation with the dragon. I think the students pissed the witch all the way off, which is pretty funny. Before the episode ends, we see Andy kept the blaze spawner and Zupei gets detention. But that's not all, because when the witch leaves, we see the bus driver stays behind to get back at the little brat for almost wrecking his ride. Zupei leaps to attack, but the bus driver teleports away, and with one final cutoff, he winks at the camera before turning the lights off to give the dickweed what he deserves. In my opinion, I couldn't think of a better way to end off the series, save for the actual showing of the ass whooping, of course. So yeah, that was the OG Giga Chat edition of Monster School. I obviously didn't cover all the episodes here, so you'll still have to go to his channel if you want to remember, or for younger audiences, see the episodes for yourself. Did the miniseries hold up upon rewatch? You know, for a small Minecraft animation series on YouTube with presumably no budget, I gotta say, I think it did a lot better than hold up. And while that might be nostalgia talking, I don't care. Because even without nostalgia, I believe it's still mucho entertaining and gigaparsecs better than the cringe fest that is modern Minecraft Monster School series. After the end of this series, Will crafted a few more Minecraft animations before coming down with a bad case of depression, mostly giving updates about it with occasional showcases of games he made, which, good for him, finding the energy to create whole games, that's right, multiple games while feeling the nothingness that is depression. Years later, he'd quit YouTube altogether, making one more video after that describing how his other Minecraft series and ventures would have ended. So to end this video, I want to say, Willcraft, if you somehow come across this video, I hope you're doing better, and if not, that you find the help you need. And I'd also like to say thank you, because while I'm not sure what goes on in your head nowadays, I want you to know that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people who appreciate you and the fact that you took the time to animate something so special on YouTube for us all to enjoy. We love all your characters, your series, and I know I'm a small channel speaking for people I don't know, but we love you too.